Good evening everyone. Welcome to Vishnu's IAS Academy. Welcome to a session on Indian history mains answer writing. Now there has been a lot of demand for this particular session where students in the class have asked how to write good answers. Now my reply always has been that a good answer cannot be written in a day. It takes time. And the only way, the best way to write good answers is practice. The more you practice, the better you become. It's a simple mantra. More and more practice is required. I always say in the class, I don't mind bad answers. What I mind is that you are not writing answers. You are not writing enough answers. That's the worst thing. Write answers. What will happen? Initially, you will make some mistakes. But slowly and slowly, those mistakes will removed or will go away because you would start identifying, okay, I'm doing this mistake, I'm doing that mistake, and then slowly and slowly you will not repeat those mistakes. So my earnest request to everyone who is watching this lecture is that write as many answers as possible. Get them corrected, and here you have an excellent I would say group of faculties. You have excellent mentorship program where Vishnu sir himself has been checking a lot of your answers. The mentors check answers, they give you personal one-to-one feedback. So all that works. Trust me, maybe today some of you might not get the idea how much that is working for you, but once you qualify, you will give your credit to the success credit to some extent would go to all of this what is happening right now, right today. Now, let me tell you certain important things apart from this what I said. Whenever you see a question, I see people, they jumping to write the answers, and I can understand. I can understand. Reason for that is you have 180 minutes to write 20 questions. So it's like 9 minutes to write one answer. So people are always in a rush to start writing the moment they see the question. And I would not say that you shouldn't do that, but then one of the things that you should always think is read the question, try to understand the question. See, always understand the question and then start writing. Understanding is not in the examination hall only. Understanding starts right from the day when you have started preparing your exam. You have started preparing for the exam, you have to understand the exam itself. Question paper comes much later, but then understand the exam. Now how do you do that? I'll show you something. We always say that there are certain things that must be known to everyone. One, syllabus of your exam. Now, if you will see the syllabus of history as far as mains is concerned, they have given one line for art and culture, 2 lines are there for modern, 1 line is for post-independence, and 1 line is for world history. So first understanding is that we should understand what exactly is required from us as far as the syllabus is concerned. So for example, if you look at world history syllabus as far as your mains is concerned, there they clearly say that world history events from 18th century, like let's say Industrial Revolution, World Wars, redrawal of national boundaries, they talk about philosophies like socialism, etc. Now, if you will see, they have not explicitly mentioned Russian Revolution or French Revolution or American Revolution, but then these topics come. So first of all, we need to understand syllabus. And to understand the syllabus, one very important ingredient is your PYQs. Always look at the PYQs. You should have the complete set of PYQs, at least as far as your mains is concerned, from 2013 onwards. That was the year when your syllabus had changed. So you should definitely have all the PYQs mains PYQ from this year. So if you see here, I've brought something for you. I'm just trying to show one section because we are going to talk about the complete Indian history, and I'm bringing one world history for you. Look at this. Since 2013 till 2024, overall, 17 questions have come in 12 years. The best performance was, of course, 2013, and then some really bad years for world history. Now trust me, 17 also, because I'm in a generous mood. If you will ever see the questions, out of these 17, 4 were which were not directly linked to world history. They had some ingredient of world history, but they were linked to modern also. So out of 17, genuinely, your UPSC has only given 13 questions completely from world history. So if I am a new student, one of the first thing that I'll do is, I'll pick up the syllabus, I'll by heart that, I'll try to remember each and every line that is written. Very small, very concise syllabus has been given by UPSC for us. I'll remember that. The next thing I'll do is, I'll start looking at the PYQs. I'll see, okay, what questions have come, which area, which questions have been asked in the previous years. And if I do an analysis of world history, you can see in my third column, of course, these 2 years there were no questions. You all can see very clearly that certain topics, certain themes, they have been repeated time and again. So we shall always identify these themes. So if you see here, one theme that I can clearly see is colonization and decolonization. Out of 17, almost 5 questions go to that particular segment. Similarly, or in fact, I would put one more here. Similarly, if you see industrial revolution, 1 is here, 2 is here, of course 3, 4 questions directly or indirectly came from industrial revolution. Then if I see period between 2 world wars has been asked 2 times. Of course, 1 question has been on both the wars, 1 question has been on World War I. So you can see world wars have given 4 questions, industrial revolution 4 questions, decolonization and colonization has given me 5 questions. So 13 are here only. And after that, 1 question on American Revolution, 1 on both American and French. Of course, 1 is on Russian. So this way, we can see the questions have come in the last few years as far as UPSC world history is concerned. So looking at this, if I as a student, if I am preparing, I am definitely going to remember that this is going to be my primary focus. World War is going to be my primary focus. I cannot ignore decolonization and colonization. That is something that I'll definitely focus. And then I'll think about what all are there which UPSC has not asked. For example, redrawal of national boundaries is mentioned. In world history, a lot of times we study about a topic called unification of Italy, unification of Germany. Now, if you all see, these 2 topics have never been asked only, never ever been touched. Similarly, if you see Chinese Revolution, we do not see any question directly from this particular topic. So what I am trying to say is, if I was a student, I did this analysis of mine. Of course, the teachers do it for you. You don't have to do everything. We have done it for you. You can see this. And then my next work would be, which we are not going to do here because that's not the agenda of the class, but my next work would be to look into all these topics separately. Okay, this year which question came, that year what question came, what is the pattern if I am to study American Revolution, what sort of things should I know, what can be expected. Okay, American Revolution, definitely they will ask you about the causes of the American Revolution. They may ask you about the events that led to the American Revolution. They may ask you the results of the American Revolution. So we'll have to understand, and please be very, very clear, all these things you will not be able to do on the first day. But slowly and slowly, as long as you are preparing and you will keep on moving, you will start identifying these themes. Okay, this is the thing that can be asked from this chapter. And that's what I say always. Ask yourself, what can be asked? What the UPSC may ask from this particular topic? That is something that you need to identify. Once you start identifying that these are the areas which UPSC might be focusing on, half of your job is done. Now, this is something that you should always keep in mind. Now, let us move to another part. Let's say I get a question. Let's say this is a 2022 question. The question is, the political and administrative reorganization of states and territories has been a continuous ongoing process since the mid-19th century. Discuss with examples. Now, the moment I read the question, of course, here they have clearly mentioned discuss with examples. If they would have only written discuss also, then also try to give examples. That's one of the very, very important point. Now, if I read this, I understand, okay, my keyword is reorganization of states and territories. Of course, continuous is not that important word, but ongoing. Ongoing means even now what is happening, keep an eye on that. And then they are asking since mid-19th, that is almost 1850s onwards. Now, the problem here is sometimes, when you are in a rush, people read this since the mid-19th century, and automatically they might not be understanding that though this has asked also of the ongoing process. So some people might restrict their answer only till 1947, others may begin only after 1947. See, mistakes happen. It's very easy to comment while sitting outside. I can say about my own experience. Once I was writing my mains, I think 2013, they asked about a question to write about the contribution of the foreigners who have contributed in Indian freedom struggle. I wrote answer and I felt I had written a good answer. I knew about many of them. When I came back home, I suddenly had a realization that I made a mistake. I had put Dadabhai Naroji also in the foreigners list. I knew he was a Parsi reformer. He had been Congress president so many times. But then, because he had worked for a very long period of time in London, had formed the East India Association and all that over there, somewhere in my mind, I thought that question is also demanding that thing. And I wrote everything. I understood while coming back or when I was sitting and analyzing what I had done. So at times, there might be mistakes that might happen. But then our important thing is we should look at the question, try to understand it holistically, try to ensure we are not making any mistake while understanding what is the demand of the question. And so if you see here, of course, pre-1947, post-1947 examples have to be given. And you can write, if I just tell you about post-1947, you all know, first of all, Dhar Commission was appointed, JVP committee was there, and then Fazal Ali Commission was there. As far as the states, first was Andhra, then Bombay was divided and the state of Gujarat was taken out of it around 1960. Later on, Nagaland was made a state. Then Punjab was divided and Haryana was created. And like that, you can write till the last state that there was a state called J&K which was partitioned, divided, and 2 union territories were taken out. Of course, after that, 2 union territories of Dadra-Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu have been merged. So till that point, you have to write here. Keep on writing, keep on telling all these relevant examples. You can talk about before 1947 also, if you all remember. GOI Act 1935, they gave example of, or they created states like Sindh, Odisha, NWFP, Northwest Frontier Province was created by this. Similarly, if you all remember, 1905, Bengal had been divided, and 1911, this Bengal division was annulled, and from here, Bihar and Odisha were separated. So, the more relevant examples, the better your answer is becoming. Now, most of the times, I personally feel this is an easy question, and anybody who has studied your modern and post-independence in a good manner, they would be able to answer this question. Now, how do I make any difference in this? Can I do some differentiation? Okay. Because it's a 250 word, 15 marker, what I will do is, let's say if I am writing the answer like this, this is a plain sheet. Here, I have left a space. I might try to draw map over here. Let's say a map of India of 1947. What was the exact status of our country? We'll show some in the map only which all states were there at that point. So if you all have the idea, in 1947, from east if I go, Assam, Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, Madras, Bombay, UP, CP and Punjab. So you can see 3, 5, 8, 9. Because 2 states had gone to Pakistan. Sindh had totally gone to Pakistan and WFP had gone totally to Pakistan. Bengal and Punjab had been partitioned. So I can show in my map, a rough map I will draw and try to show that these were the 11 states, or I will just mention them. And now I'll try to, draw another map in which I will try to show, of course, 28 states cannot be shown, but I can write that this structure has changed. So something extra, this something extra is for half marks. If I have to stand out amongst all the good performers, I'll always think about that extra half marks. How do I bring that? That is something that is always very, very important. So now, if this was one question that, I wanted to tell you how to go about this, but overall, leave this question. If you see this, any question, these are certain key ingredients as far as any question is concerned. So let's take the previous question only, that discuss the formation of states, and it's been an ongoing process since the mid of the 19th century. First part always is introduction. Now let me tell you, I always believe a good introduction is very, very important to get good marks. And the reason is very simple. Think about the person who is going to check your copy. That person might be checking 12 copies per day when mains evaluations are happening. And that might be going on for, let's say, 20 days, 25 days, 30 days. Continuously he is checking 12 answers. Now you only think, man, we might get bored of checking the same answers, same Mundan answers. Everybody is writing the same thing. Nothing, no differentiation in anybody's answers. And suddenly, the person reads a beautiful introduction in any of the answers. That person is now bound to read the whole answer in a very different manner. He will be interested to know about this student who has written such a good introduction, that beyond the introduction, is the body also equally good or not? Now remember, I always say, introduction is okay, very, very important. But ultimately, what we call in Hindi, masala, the ingredients, the important ingredients, they come only in the body. You have to give proper points. So just now the question that I showed, and we'll discuss 2 questions. I have brought model answers for 2 questions, and they both I have taken from optional, but they can come very easily in our exams. So I'll show you 2 questions, but before that, as you can see, body is there. Now relevant heading has to be given. For example, think like this, previous question, that state formation has been an ongoing process. Let's say 1947 onwards only you were talking about. For a second imagine, I said Andhra was the first state to be created, later Bombay got bifurcated, Gujarat got separated, Nagaland got created, then Haryana came out of Punjab, Himachal Pradesh became state. In northeast there were so many states being created like Manipur, Tripura, Meghalaya. Now if you see so many points, can I do some, I would say, grouping over here? Can I bring some sort of classification here? Okay, there can be. That this state formation post 1947 I can divide based on Nehru era. In Nehru era, which we said earlier, the 3 committees were formed, and during his time only Andhra got created, Bombay got divided, and Nagaland got created. Shastri ji was the Prime Minister for very brief time, 19 months only, and then Madam Indira Gandhi came. Now, Madam Indira Gandhi, during her tenure, Haryana came out of Punjab, later Himachal Pradesh was made into a state. In northeast, total jigsaw happened. Manipur, Meghalaya and Tripura in 1972, they became the states. Then Sikkim, which was a princely state, not a part of India, went on to become an associate state, later went on to become a full-fledged state. So this was all that happened during Madam Indira Gandhi's era. During Morarji Desai's nothing happened. Now we come to Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's era. And during Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's era, we see that states like Arunachal Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram and Goa got created. 3 states have been created during his time. Then 3 more states got created during the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. So you all know Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Uttarakhand got created. During the times of Mr. Manmohan Singh, only 1 state, Telangana, got created, and during the times of Mr. Narendra Modi in the last 10-11 years, I don't think any state has been formed, but yes, 1 state has been dissolved, that is, statehood is not there, and then what do you come? You can say that 2 union territories have been formed out of Kashmir. So you can see here what I did is Nehru era 1 heading, Indira Gandhi era 2 heading, post 1947 I am talking about. 3rd is of course Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, 4th is Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, 5th is Mr. Manmohan Singh, and 6th is Mr. Narendra Modi. Now if you don't want to bring 6th classification, you can put these 2 people together, that in the last almost 20 years, 2 decades, only 1 state has been formed during the times of these 2 prime ministers, 20-21 years, and 1 state was dissolved. Or you can mention post 2000, all this comes together. So classification is based in your hands. The only thing I am saying, give proper heading. If you give relevant heading, invariably the teacher gets to understand, okay, what he is trying to say. Of course, in this we are giving a lot of examples. Now, before I get it to the conclusion, give me 1 second. Please see the flow. As you all can see, I hope you could see that the flow which I gave right now to you people was very, very logical. It cannot be that somebody is writing, oh, I remembered about Bihar getting divided because I come from Bihar, Jharkhand got created in 2000, and then directly I jump to Telangana and then I go back to 1987. No. There has to be an order. Why I am writing my next line, that should be logical. If I am writing the 1 point and then I am moving to the next point, it should be totally interconnected. See, sometimes you might miss. I am not saying people might miss. But then if you get to know over there, try to make some amendment, try to bring that point which you should have brought. Overall, otherwise, I would always suggest that you should make it very, very clear that the order of your answer is very, very logical. Flow has to be there. You cannot be, I would say, jumping here and there. Okay, whichever thought came to my mind, let me jot it down and then I'll think about that. No, you cannot do that. You have to have an order of your answer. Now, presentation. See, many people, they keep on talking about this thing that, sir, how do I write a good answer? See, first thing, have the material. Do you have content to write a 200 word or 250 word answer or not? That's the most important thing. Once you have the content to write a good answer, of course, then you will come to the presentation aspect. In the presentation, many people have asked me, sir, my English is not that good. See, UPSC is not asking you to become Mr. Shashi Tharoor. It should be good enough. Try not to make grammatical mistakes. If you are not that confident, try to write smaller sentences. Don't get into very jumbled and very complicated long sentences. Make small sentences. Present your fact in very simple and lucid manner. Who is asking you to use all those tough terminologies? Nobody is asking you. So your language can be very, very simple. Keep it as simple as possible. It works. Nobody is saying to use those very heavy words. Use the commonly used words and it will give you, it will fetch you good marks. Second thing people ask me, sir, handwriting. I was even today checking an answer and the person asked me, sir, and I only said that your answer is not looking that, handwriting is not looking that great, and he said, sir, I'm not able to, manage it. See, my point always is that, again, I'll repeat the same thing. Let's say Rohit Kumar is an invigilator. I'm checking 20 answers in one copy. In one day, I get 12 such copies, so I'm checking 240 answers in one day. And let's say I check 20 complete days, invariably this comes out to be 4,800 answers in 20 days that I would be checking. Now, you also should, have some mercy on these people. Your handwriting should be legible. It cannot be so bad that the examiner, the person who is checking your copy, is frustrated and is like, what this person has written, I'm not going to give him or her good marks. Of course, see, mains is not that easy. Those who have written 9 papers and all those 9 papers, invariably, sometimes people, by the time 9th paper has come, they are mentally totally, I would say drained, hands pain, many people are not in the habit of sitting that much. And that's why here comes the very, very important role of mains answer writing practice through test series, which I always advise. This is, I would believe, 1 out of the 6 steps to successfully crack UPSC. Write a lot of answers, write a lot of mains answer writing. In that only what will happen is slowly and slowly with practice, your handwriting also will slightly become better. Might not become the best, because I'll tell you one thing, there has to be a balance between handwriting and speed. I remember I was writing 2013 mains. 2013 mains came 25 questions and each question was for 200 words. So UPSC in 2013 expected us to write 5,000 words in 180 minutes. It's more or less, if I make the calculation simple, 500 words in 18 minutes, 250 word in 9 minutes, more or less 250 word in 540 seconds, cut 110, 25 words in 54 seconds. You can see one word in literally 2 point some second. I don't know how UPSC thought we could write that. And then, drawing and all those things. So, speed, the moment I saw, I remember, I understood maybe I'll not be able to write 200 for each. I thought, okay, let me try 180 for every answer. If I can manage 180, I'll be more than happy. I'll try to make some drawings, underline the important things so that the examiner can see what I'm trying to write. And I would usually suggest that Your best answer should have very good handwriting. Initial 1 hour when you are writing your best 5 to 6 answers, they should be really, really good. Next hour, again you are writing 7 answers, try to manage them in a legible handwriting. Last answer, you have 8 answers, 7 answers that's remaining. Try not to have very bad handwriting. It shouldn't be that you have totally gone out of hand and this is something which might not be understandable for anyone. That should not happen. Of course, see, UPSC, as far as history is concerned, I don't think diagrams, nobody would expect you to draw the image of Akbar in your answers. That's not expected. But then map, try to include as many maps as much possible as far as history is concerned. That's something that would really work for you. Bring the maps, bring the relevant maps, and if possible, if you can bring some flow charts, that would be something really very, very important, very good. Bring the flow charts in your answer. That's going to do wonders for your answer. We have already talked about speed. Example I have shown you in the previous question. But let me give you one more question. You know, 1 year the question came, I think 2 years ago, that Indian armies, in spite of being better armed and more in numbers, would usually lose to the British armies. Now this question directly you will not study, but indirectly you study it many places. It was for the first time, if you all have studied modern history, it was in 1746 that the Nawab of Carnatic, who was having almost 10,000 soldiers, was defeated by an army of only 1,000 soldiers, which were led by Dupleix. So from here onwards, it started that, okay, fine enough, a small, better trained, disciplined Western army is better than a large, untrained, ill-disciplined Indian army. So if I am writing this, in my introduction only I can write this about this example, that see, all this that started was from this 1946 battle. From there all of this has started. This is Battle of Santhome. And then I would give more examples. So more examples you will see, for example, treachery of Mir Zafar. What happened in Palasi, I'll give you one answer also just now on Palasi and Buxar. What happened in Palasi was he sold us. If we would have fought, we might have defeated, who knows. But then he had sold us. Treachery was done. Similar things were done in the first Anglo-Sikh War. Give examples. Then another example can be how they made us fight against ourselves. Marathas and Mysore, Third Anglo-Mysore War, how against Tipu Sultan, Marathas, Nizam, everybody was there. So more the examples, the better your answer. That's one simple rule that you can always remember. Of course, facts. See, when I come to facts, maybe I can mention, because it's a history thing, you can mention about dates. Now people ask me, sir, is it necessary to remember every date? See, I always say no. The correct answer is nobody is asking you to remember every day, every date. But then tell me, if I am checking the copy, one student is writing each and everything along with the chronological order, dates and everything. Another person is shying away from that, not giving me any fact, any data, any dates. Invariably, my marks would move that side much more compared to you. So, of course, in history, I am talking about the dates. In other papers like geography and all, or economics, if you give more facts, it's always advisable. Your answer becomes better. Along with the fact, if you give the sources, that's also something that can always be great. In history, if I talk about facts, you can give facts in economic history, that according to this economic historian, this much money was taken from India by the British. Something like that. Facts can be given to make your answer more attractive. Last but not the least, identify the keywords. I told you, keywords are something that you have to identify to write a good answer. So when we were talking about that question which I showed you, and I'll show you again. See here, I'll identify the keywords. I said ongoing, reorganization of states, of course, examples, and mid-19th, because that gives me the area to which I can write the answer. So 1850 till 2024, that is expected from us as far as this particular question is concerned. See, I have given you a lot of ideas. Let us see a question to better implement what we are talking about. One example which we should see, and this is a question that came in UPSC optional. In history optional this question came, but those who have done my lectures would know that I usually give this question in my classes also, because not exactly the same words, but till here I usually say that the Battle of Plassey was a skirmish, and of course they have expanded it and they have basically given that the Battle of Plassey is skirmish while the Battle of Buxar was a real war. I don't have to say, I can clearly see keywords is Plassey and Buxar. So my one is this. For Plassey they say skirmish, and for Buxar they say it's a real war. And then they are asking me to critically examine it. Now, many people might have a problem in, some of you might not understand what is exactly the meaning of the word skirmish. See, I have no hesitation in saying if one or two times you cannot understand the English word, you can always look into the the translation of that. In the paper you would have both this. So skirmish in Hindi means mutbher. So that means Plassey was nothing more than a small fight between two groups. On the other hand, what we find out in Buxar is that this was a actually big war. Okay, I have got some questions here. Sneha, if you can write this in English, it would be better. Vam Krishna Yadav and Dasari, they are asking, writing mains answers in points wise better or paragraph wise is better? So, you know, it all depends. If you ask me, I would use both the style, paragraph, point. So basically it's like, I'll show you, if this is my paper, I wrote 2 lines of introduction. In the body I gave, let's say this is my heading. Under this heading I wrote, let's say 3 points. Again I came to this second heading. I again wrote this 3 lines. Came to my third point, wrote let's say 3 lines. So like this, what I would try to do is, I would be doing this. So I hope Dasari Lingmurti, you are clear about this. So I would, you know, not exactly go in only one style, I would go in both the styles. Both would be, a mixture of both of this would be applied by me, like in this case. Again, for those who are watching it, we would ask you to like it, subscribe the channel, do pass it on, and do make your comments. Was this helpful for you or not? So please do keep on doing that. And in the meantime, let me come back to the question again. So Plassey and Buxar I was talking about, that Plassey they are saying is nothing but a skirmish. Buxar they are saying is basically a real, I would say, war. Let's see the approach over here. If you all see the approach, part 1, of course the introduction. Part 4, of course the conclusion. Body, we have kept 2 parts. One is to talk about Battle of Plassey to Buxar. You know, what was the road, how did the British and the Indians, they reach to this point. And of course, this is the most important body part, where we have to give a comparative analysis of Plassey and Buxar. What exactly is the analysis over here that has to be given. So if you see here, And if I begin with the, what do you call, your introduction. See, in the beginning only, you can establish this fact that Bengal was wanted by the Britishers for the simple reason that in those days Bengal was the largest as well as the richest province of the Mughals. It was one of the largest and definitely the richest province of the Mughals in those days. If you see in present time, Bengal is almost India's Bengal, Bangladesh, India's Bihar, Jharkhand, parts of Orissa, all these areas were constituting Bengal in those days. East India Company, which had come to India in mid 17th century, I would not call India, but here they had come around 1608 only. But in Bengal, they got the permission to do trade around 1651. Shuja, who was the son of Shah Jahan, was the Nawab of Bengal and had given him the permission, had given the EIC permission to do business. In the introduction, if it's a 250 word, I can go to a 2-line. If it's a 150 word, I'll only write 1-line introduction, not more than that, because I have to go to the body part also. But if it's a 250, I can write about that Farrukhshire had given them a very good farman in 1717, which helped the Britishers a lot in the coming days. So any of this, so something background. Here I will tell that how did British come up here, why did they come, what is exactly aiding them, something like that has to be given over here. Then we come to the body part. If you see here the body thing, road to Palasi and Buxar. I will start this that Alivardi Khan died in 1756, appointing his maternal grandson, who was hardly 23-year-old at that point, the Nawab of Bengal. So a 23-year-old young man has been made the Nawab of Bengal in those days. So we will mention this about Siraj-ud-Daulah at that point of time. Because this portion we cannot go very lengthy, so we will write maximum 1 line that why did this, what do you call, clash started to happen between Siraj and the Britishers. So you can mention that Siraj had asked them to stop the fortification, and along with that Siraj's enemy Krishna Ballabh had been given refuge by the Britishers. This ultimately resulted into the fact that this Palasi and Buxar was going to happen. So Palasi 1757, Buxar 1764. Now if you all see, critical analysis of the question has to be done, where we are basically comparing Buxar to Palasi or Palasi to Buxar. Let us do a comparative analysis of this two. Please see here. I can write like this also. Palasi they say is a skirmish, Buxar they say is a real war. Why do they say so? You all can see the first point. Palasi was merely a skirmish, not even 500 people died, or hardly 500 people died. Why? Because Mir Zafar's soldiers, they had surrendered. So our side definitely did not fight. So very few people died as far as this war was concerned. Hardly few hundred people, hundreds of the people had died in this. On the other hand, if you see, Buxar, comparatively a very large number of people had been or had died in this particular war. Very large number of people had died. Because here on one side you had English East India Company, other side you had the Mughal ruler Shah Alam II. Of course, Bengal's Nawab Mir Qasim and Nawab of Awadh Shuja-ud-Daulah, their army fought, and of course they got defeated. So many people, many thousands of people had died. Number two, here one side was mere spectator. Mir Zafar's soldiers had simply surrendered here. They did not really fight. On the other hand, a fierce battle had taken place over here. So here you can tell about the number, here you can tell about the fact that, you know, actual fighting took place. Third, Siraj maybe was inexperienced, and that is true. Why to use the word maybe? He was absolutely inexperienced, had no plan, no pre-planned strategy, failed to show any sort of military dominance. On the other hand, if you see Mir Qasim, he had a strategy how to deal with the English as far as Bengal was concerned. In this, it was all because of Robert Clive, who had, you know, got everything pre-planned. So after the killing of Siraj-ud-Daulah, Mir Jafar was appointed as the Nawab of Bengal in those days. On the other hand, if you see here, of course, our side lost. Mir Qasim ran away, but the other two, they signed the Treaty of Allahabad over here. They both signed the Treaty of Allahabad in 1765 at this point, and they did it. Lastly, if you look, you know, if you can remember some quotations, great. K.M. Panikkar, the famous historian, says Palasi was a transaction in which the rich bankers of Bengal and Mir Jafar sold out the Nawab to the English. Absolute treachery. They had, you know, simply surrendered and let the Nawab there. In fact, it was Miran, who was Mir Jafar's son, who killed the Nawab Siraj-ud-Daulah. So they basically betrayed him. Hardly anybody fought for him except one or two. On the other hand, this is a real war, and Mughal emperor, as I said, Treaty of Allahabad, he was made to sign this particular treaty in those days. So everyone, I've just shown you one, I would say, sample how to write one good answer. But then any good answer is incomplete if you just complete it over here, because then it gives the impression that maybe the person did not have enough time, and that's why the person could not write about anything to conclude. Now, conclusion usually should be something that is futuristic, something that predicts for what is going to happen later. Now, in this I can write the conclusion that the Palasi and Buxar opened the floodgates. Today Bengal and tomorrow the whole India was going to be under the British rule. Today Bengal, tomorrow whole India. Something like that. So if you see here, in the conclusion you can see, it's clearly mentioned they both are important watershed moments of our history. Palasi and Buxar, they made, they gave Bengal on platter as far as the Britishers were concerned. And that's why you can write this much, and this becomes more than sufficient. No comments here? Good. So this is something that you could have written. For you people, there is one more question, but you practice, write it in the comment box. Anyone who writes, we will send you the answers, the sample answer for this question. This is for IR, and specifically I am asking this to write those who attended my morning class. Do you agree that the economic effects of the Industrial Revolution were to add enormously to wealth and capital on the one hand, and to degrade the masses to permanent poverty as the other? Elucidate. Think what you will write. I'll give you the hint. It's more about the effects of the Industrial Revolution. Think about that in that line. Try to write this answer. Make it or write it in the comment box. We'll post your model answer for this question. And with this, we are done with this session. I hope this session was enjoyed by you people. You really got benefited. You got a lot of your queries resolved. I know most of you were there in the class during daytime also. Some of you, if you have any query later, you can post in the comment box, or you can definitely ask me in direct one-to-one. No problems with that. So with this, I would like to say goodbye. Thank you, and have a great day. Enjoy. Thank you. Goodbye. No other query? No issues. Thank you. Thanks a ton.